Well, good morning, people. So, I think I finally am to a point where I guess we can talk about my daughter's disappearance and the investigation into my daughter's disappearance, or should I say, the outright, complete failure of an investigation, starting right at the very beginning. Because as time goes on and people get to the point where they're less afraid to come forward because they realize I'm not this person they make me out to be, there's a lot of information that's coming out that's really leading me to believe that Jared Sylvia just missed the ball. And I'm going to talk about this as much as I can. So this video may be a little longer than usual. And if it is, I apologize, but you guys have been asking me to talk about the whole situation. So here's the whole situation. Okay. I'm going to name drop. I'm going to name drop left and right. And I'm going to go ahead and say this at this point. And I don't want to sound like one of these White House tinfoil hat wearing some bitches, but I am going to. One of the reasons I'm making this video is just in case anything happens, there's a record of me speaking out before anything does happen. There's a record, something I was advised of. But Stephanie went, the night that Stephanie went missing. Now, you guys heard on national TV and everywhere else, I've explained our lifestyle to us. Our children, they look at the woods a little different. You know, my babies can go out in these woods for a couple hours. I'll turn the dogs loose, and I'm not worried about it. That's one of the reasons why I've got a yard full of dogs. One, predators out here. Two, you got kids. Raise dogs and kids together. Dogs are going to find kids no matter what. 99% of the time, they're in the yard where I can play with them and everything. But kids are kids; they wander off. That was at that time. Now, no, my kids stay within eyesight, within earshot. I don't let them out of eyesight. No child leaves the yard without a dog. I mean, things have changed since Stephanie's disappearance majorly. But when Stephanie went missing, the first 24 hours we didn't freak out. We were worried. We were looking. We were going up and down the roads. Which this fact I want everybody to pay attention to. What I'm stating here. We went up and down the roads looking for our daughter continuously. My wife, I don't ride in a vehicle very well because, as I've explained, I got ankylosing spondylitis. I've got two positions, either upright or laid down. Everything else is locked up. But my wife was out all night long looking for our baby. My son was out in the woods. We had the dogs running loose. I mean, all night long we were looking. I mean, so next morning, it wasn't even a full 24 hours like a lot of people want to twist. It was roughly about 12, maybe 13 hours. And I'm the one who looked at my wife and said, "Hey, yeah, there's just I had a feeling something wasn't right." And that's when we called the state police. State police came out here. The first the first one out here was Trooper Martin. He was the very first one on response, and he's also the one that never stepped foot in my house, but yet could call CPS and say my house was disgusting, full of trash, unventilated. Never stepped foot in my house. He was the first officer that responded. Okay, within I guess I talked to Trooper Martin for about half hour, 45 minutes, filling out reports, telling him the whole situation, what happened, everything. Within, within that hour is when Jared showed up, Jared Sylvia. He was the lead detective. Jared asked a bunch of questions. We explained the situation to him and everything and told him what everything that went on and everything that happened. And he started doing what a lead detective's supposed to be doing. Or at least now that I look back, I really don't know if Jared did half the shit that he says he did. I have absolutely zero faith because there's a lot of dark secrets that I tried to discuss with Jared. My wife tried to discuss with Jared, and he always seemed to want to. He wanted to pussyfoot around it. He didn't want to talk about it. He wanted to avoid the subject. So at that time, I had faith in Jared. I had 100% faith in Jared. He told me he's going to do the job. He's going to get my daughter back. He's, you know, everything. He had me in complete faith that he had the best interest of my daughter. Well, he, you know, had the FBI here. Within 24 hours, the FBI was here. Okay. I'm all this going on. FBI is here. State police is here. This is I'm going to go ahead and lump up the first 48 hours because within 24 hours, it was like lighting a wildfire. I mean, within the first hour, from the time I talked to Trooper Martin to the first 48 hours, it was literally, it went like wildfire. Everybody, I can honestly say everybody was on the ball. There was dogs, there was drones, canines. I mean, had people on the ground, everything. Property was being searched. My house was searched, everything. So within 24 to 48 hours, everything was searched. So now back to what I was saying. Within this time frame, Jared had supposedly gone up and down. They had checked door to door and everything. And there was no sign of nothing. About a week later, did an even bigger search, more drones, more dogs, more everything. I'm not going to go into details about all the searches, but I will say within the first year's time, this property and probably all in New Sweden has been searched. Everybody did their job. Everybody pretty much allowed everybody to search. But there's some discrepancies in the searches. First off, Mr. Doug Tinsley. There was a couple occasions where Mr. Tinsley swore up and down that the way my driveway is positioned, Mr. Tinsley owns a piece of property across the way with the log cabin. And my kids will be kids. They'll wander. And there was a couple times that Mr. Tinsley told me that he had seen my kids. What and the impression he gave me was that he had cameras on over there. No problem. Everybody has their, that ain't the issue. Second issue. Supposedly supposed to be cameras on over there. From the very moment that I remember Chris and Shelly moving in next door, they had this little, I'm colorblind, so I don't know the exact sign, but it's an octagon sign. In front of their property, it says protected by ring camera. Okay. There's enough YouTube videos to know that ring camera pretty much would catch the way their house is positioned. It would catch up to the road. After that point, it's pretty much worthless. Well, pretty much any camera that you have is pretty much worthless after about 100 yards. But, so they got the cameras on over at Doug's. Got the cameras on over at Chris and Shelly's. Second thing is, CPS ever comes to my property, which it has become an occasion because of Mr. Tinsley, because of Chris and Shelly, because of they all three have continuously called CPS. And anytime that I get a visitor, Doug's right down the road instantly. See who it is. Goes all the way down, turns around in Art's driveway and goes back down. That's just Doug. I've got it on my deer camera. I can show you I mean, I got deer cams all over my property, but and I've got it plain and simple. Okay, there's the second issue I have. Now, I know another gentleman on this road has cameras, and I'm going to leave him completely anonymous because, in all honesty, he's the only one on West Road that's acted like what I would expect from somebody on West Road. And so I know he cooperated. I know 100% this gentleman cooperated, gave everything, probably even introduced him to his wife and coffee and everything else. That's just how this gentleman is. Now, so all these cameras, and then Mr. Tinsley goes on one of these little podcasts and states that he can bring 20 something odd people that have cameras on West Road that say that my wife was not out that night searching. Okay, so somebody's either lying or somebody's hiding a fact. And like I said, I don't want to sound like a tinfoil hat wearing idiot but by the end of this video, this will all make sense. So we've got people with cameras right in my area, one right across from my driveway. We've got a gentleman that says he can show 23 cameras that show that my wife was not out searching that night. Okay. But nobody seen my daughter disappear. And wonder why I don't trust nobody in this community. I mean, right there is enough to make you go, okay. Then there was a statement made by somebody anonymous. I don't remember where the group was or anything, but it was pretty much to the fact that point the finger at me so that you don't have to point the finger at somebody in your own community. So if there's 23 people with cameras, that's the only thing I'm going to go on because this came out of Doug's mouth. It might not be exactly 23, but it was pretty close. So 23 people with cameras can verify my wife was not out searching for my daughter. But 23 people with cameras can't tell me what vehicle they might have seen my daughter in. Somebody's not saying something to somebody. Another thing, okay, that's the first real thing that's got me really, I'm not even going to go back to the fact of how much Doug hates me because I bought this property out from underneath him and didn't even mean to. When I bought this property, it was just simply, hey, a piece of property for sale, chance to get in Maine. I'm originally from Rhode Island. I know about Maine. I mean, winters, I was expecting winters to be a lot worse up here after living in Rhode Island. And I can tell you, Rhode Island winters are a lot worse than this. But let's get back to the conversation. So this is all within the first 24 to 48 hours. Now, I don't remember exactly when Doug went on the little podcast, but I know he was referring, me and him, I think we're actually going back and forth in the podcast. So who's not saying something? To me, that screams somebody in the community that somebody knows that's covering up for somebody. Because New Sweden ain't this place in the picnic, place in the pines, whatever, that everybody thinks it is. The major ATV trail that goes through here is major highway for drugs. Try to talk to Jared about that. No. And there's been a few people in the community that they have come forward and actually spoke to my wife about this very fact. When Andrew went on national TV, he was attacked over it. Now, do I agree with Andrew's opinion of my daughter's front teeth? I can't say I can or I cannot because knowing the meth situation that's in New Sweden, could she have gotten involved in it? Yes. One theory stood, and this theory is why Jared did not want me talking to nobody. One theory stood, and that was that somebody picked her up and she thought she was going to get to come home, and they didn't bring her home for whatever reason. Okay, here goes back more proof or more support. I won't say proof. There's no proof of anything at this point. But here's more support of Doug Tinley's statement saying 23 people can swear they didn't see my wife searching, but 23 people missed a vehicle coming in and out of here. Would would anybody really notice a vehicle that comes up and down the road all the time? I know I don't. I do work up here at the top of the road, and if it's a vehicle that comes up, I don't pay it no mind. And that's a human eye. So, and when me and my wife received a phone call from our daughter that Stefanie had walked off in the woods at that point in time, me and my wife didn't think nothing about it. That was Stefanie. She'd go out in the woods, play with whatever she could find, whatever she could catch, go chase dumb birds, whatever she decided to do. Because her and Nicole have their own personal issues. So we didn't think nothing about it. We adjusted our schedule to hurry up and get home, figure out what the hell is going on so we could get it straightened out. So within an hour and a half, we were back home. Within an hour and a half, Stefanie was gone. Absolutely zero trace. These are details Jared didn't want me talking about because, as Jared put it, what if the person that has Stefanie doesn't realize she's underage, and when they find out she's underage, they do something to her then? And honestly, with where my head was at, it was believable. I honestly could understand that and see that. But we're still talking an hour and a half. She disappeared within an hour and a half. Within an hour and a half, she disappeared to the point where cadaver dogs, search dogs, drones, helicopters, 23 cameras, according to Doug Tinsley. She disappeared without a trace. So that's the general gist of her going disappeared. The details that matter to me, the details that everybody seems to be overlooking. Within an hour and a half, could she have gone to Andrews? Yeah. But Andrews pigs, they weren't monsters. And some big son bitches if they weren't monsters. I mean, my gimp ass climbed up on the fence just because I didn't want to get ran over by 800 pounds of bacon. But other than that, they were babies. Now he had one that me and her didn't get along, but she wasn't. So, could she have gone to Drew's in an hour and a half? Easily. My kids could make it there in 10 minutes. Would his hogs have ate her? No, because there would have been, even if they are whatever reason, there would have been traces, all this other shit. So, within an hour and a half, she completely disappears. Not even a scrap of. Contrary to what Whitney wants everyone to believe, there was not even a. There was one footprint, a boot print. That's all that was left. Now, I'm not going to try to nail exact time frames because within 2 years, my head swims every time I think about Stefanie. I'm not an emotional person. I don't break down and cry. Before my wife, I only knew one emotion, and that was anger. That got me through quite a few years of life. But after my wife, I have learned that my emotions are best controlled. I mean, I've been married over 17 years, and she's only seen me cry however 6 times, and that was when 6 kids were born. 4 kids were born. 4 times she seen me cry, and that was only a tear down my face, and that was it. So no, I don't have emotion. It's baggage to me, but it still doesn't change the fact that this is ripping my heart out. Every day, my son smiles at me. I see Stephanie. The way my son wears his hair, it's Stephanie. Our daughter disappeared within an hour and a half. Zero trace. No trace by FBI, state police, game wardens. Year and a half's worth of searches. Nothing. Not a trace in New Sweden of her. Something don't add up because, and I'm going to keep repeating this because it didn't ring into me until people started wanting me to talk about her disappearance. If Doug Tinsley can prove that many people did not see my wife's search, why can that many people not tell me where my daughter is? Who'd she get in the vehicle with? Something don't add up. Baby girl disappeared within an hour and a half. Year and a half searches, nothing. Within this year and a half, there was a gentleman, and these are all things that Jared absolutely don't want me talking about. And I'm done doing it Jared's way because there's a lot of dark secrets in the general area. I'm not going to say just New Sweden, but there's one lady that was actually talking about a river and how several bodies have been found on this river. And in this general area over the years, there's been several bodies. We got a girl over here in Washburn, as a matter of fact. Different race, but in a lot of ways, her and my daughter share commonalities. But within a year and a half, there was a gentleman living up here at the schoolhouse in a trailer. A local person, actually, not local to here. He's from much further up north. Confronted him about my daughter's disappearance. They were doing searches and everything like that. And his daughter, somehow or another, could almost pass for my daughter. I mean, they're dead on twins. And when this gentleman got out of his vehicle to go talk to the gentleman staying in the camper at the schoolhouse, he pretty much attacked him with a hammer. And now my wife's corrected me, a hatchet. And this gentleman's like me. There's certain ones up here in Aroostook County. We don't call the cops. We don't trust them. As my dealings with Jared has come to leave me, I've learned why I don't let him on my property without a search warrant. But there's no faith there. So me and this gentleman, neither one of us. But it was brought up to Jared. I believe my wife even brought it up to Jared. And Jared didn't want nothing to do with it. He said, "Oh, I'll look into it. I'll look into it." Okay. So, and then there's Ralph. Everybody wanted to point the finger at poor old Ralph. He's dead now. He sat in his house for how many days? My wife contacted Jared several days in a row to, hey, I ain't seen Ralph around. We need to check on Ralph, you know. And it took almost 3 days before Jared finally took her serious and went out there to check on Ralph. and Ralph was dead. So there's that situation. Then there's Whitney in the bottom of some basement showing a dog chain in a basement, dog chain attached to a kerosene tank. And somehow or another, she took the photos to where they looked like crime scene photos. You guys wanted me to talk about my daughter's disappearance. This is what I've got to go on. This is it. How am I supposed to talk about something that there's nothing to talk about? My daughter disappeared within an hour and a half. Literally, within an hour and a half. No trace. All that was left behind was a boot print. You guys want me on national TV screaming for my daughter to return and everything. And to be honest with you, I want to find them. So I sit in the back, I listen, I watch. People like Bobby Nichols pretending on their DI command and all that. They got this big thing going on with supposedly with the search and rescue, and you know, did the checks, and I can do the checks on that. All I got to do is go down here and check his certification with the state police and other people too. Um, Diving with Purpose, and they do a big YouTube channel and everything. So, I mean, there's so much bullshit out here that Jared ain't dealt with that at this point, how can I say that it ain't someone in the community? At this point, I'm absolutely convinced that somebody within 25, maybe 50, if we're pushing it, miles of my house, or actually of my driveway, not of my house, because this didn't happen at my house. Somebody within 25 to 50 miles of my house knows something. Doug Tinsley stated 20 some odd cameras, 23 cameras. That's the number I'm going on. If that ain't exactly the number, but either way, he stated that he could state that many people seen that my wife wasn't out searching for my daughter. How did he miss the vehicle that my daughter left in? Because if she walked off in the woods, they would have found traces. If she was drug off the side of the road, there would have been traces. And the more I think about it, everybody says a stranger. No, knowing Stefanie, it was somebody that she knew. Absolutely had to be somebody she knew. And the way it was treated, it's like in the Navy, we have a funny saying, when you go through and you get your shots and everything, you try to figure out how they checked your hemorrhoids with both their hands on their shoulders, with both their hands on your shoulders. And at this point, that's what I feel like Jared's done to me. Jared knows I have a past. I've never denied I have a past from Rhode Island. Did he treat me like less of a person because he knew my past from Rhode Island? I don't know. Did he give my family or this whole case a fair shake? Absolutely not. Never once communicated to you guys what went on. I don't think he, I don't even think he really paid attention to several of the people he was recommended to talk to. So what do we know about Stefanie's disappearance? Not a damn thing. Can we speculate and make it worse on Mama? Oh yeah, we could speculate all day long, but what's the point without hard proof? And like I said, I'm one of the guys that sits in the shadows. And that's what my son meant. It's the quiet ones. Because we're the quiet ones, we're in the back. We're watching everything going on. We're sitting with our back to the wall. We done been screwed over way too many times. We know to keep our mouth shut because we don't want no part of it. Will we strike? Yeah. Will you see it coming? No. Are we going to be stupid? No. But that's like when I moved here. Stephanie, she loved it here. I mean, from day one, I've got pictures where she's out in the flowers, out in the yard, she's playing and everything. If you see the pictures of Stephanie, you would understand why her disappearing in the woods was no big deal. I've got pictures of, I've got game cam pictures of her all through these woods. They're right on my Google Drive. So her just walking off in the woods disappearing, I don't, there's no way. There'd be some kind of trace of something somewhere. Someone picking her up, absolutely. A stranger picking her up, no, absolutely not. Someone she knows picking her up, someone that she thought she could trust, absolutely. So that's why she was able to disappear within an hour and a half. This is northern Maine. So within an hour and a half, we're talking maybe half hour, 45 minutes to Madawaska, Fort Kent area. 15, 20 minutes to Caribou. 30 minutes to Presque Isle. And nobody's seen her. That means that she disappeared, in my opinion, off this road somewhere. So, or somebody picked her up that nobody pays attention to. Somebody that they're used to seeing. Am I convinced of that? Yes. And I think Jared missed it because I'm at the point that Jared was probably with all you guys more worried about clearing my family, more worried about pointing the finger at us because we were different. We didn't fit the box. We didn't fit the mold. Jared knew I had a past, but you know, even you guys want to keep bringing up my past. Since I left Rhode Island, I've been in trouble twice. Once for shooting a raccoon in my backyard too close within. I didn't realize at the time where I was living there was city limit ordinance about shooting a gun. Shot a raccoon in the backyard. I went to jail. Spent the night in jail. Went to court the next day. Second time I ever went to jail was 30 days over my kids. I've discussed that too. Was I a different person in Rhode Island? Yeah. But I left Rhode Island with no warrants, no harsh feelings, no burnt bridges. I can stand in Rhode Island right now, no problems. Some of the cops still remember me from being in Rhode Island. I used to live right behind one. I was never really too much of a problem. Was I a punk ass kid that didn't take no shit? Yeah. Am I still a punk ass kid? No. Now I'm a punk ass man that don't take no shit. But it doesn't matter. We have nothing. Searches. There was base camp set up here by the river. There was a base camp set up out here. Absolutely nothing. That baby girl disappeared within an hour and a half. So I'm done rattling because every time I start talking about Stephanie, I get in a weird place and my mind starts wandering. And this probably wasn't one of my best videos because of that. But this is what we know about Stephanie. This is my speculations about Stephanie. This is my record of saying that the whole system failed my daughter. And this is me probably saying this is probably my last video because I'm not going to keep dragging myself or my family through these videos every damn day. You guys have made up your opinion. Jared didn't do his damn job. Jared didn't communicate to you guys. Quite honestly, FBI didn't talk to you guys. They've let this turn into a situation where it's dangerous. Somebody's going to get hurt. Hopefully somebody don't end up in the ground over it because of their head being so full of shit. Because me and my family, we have a very clear, we set our boundaries, we protect our boundaries, we protect our family. You guys want us to talk about the search for our daughter? There's nothing to talk about. She disappeared within an hour and a half. Nobody wants to do the detective work, which is why I think Jared really, I don't think Jared ever really gave a fuck. He put on the face and that was about it. Because the more I talk to people, the more people start realizing I'm not this monster. There's a lot of things that Jared was told about that he should have chased down a lot harder. There was things that Jared should have told you guys that he did. There's things Jared should have dealt with, like Trooper Martin, you know, completely false claim. That's a state trooper. That's supposed to be somebody we're going to trust. That's supposed to be somebody that's going to testify on us in court. And he's going to tell a lie like that. And CPS did clarify that none of that thing he said was true. The initial CPS case was closed from the very beginning. They kept it open for 6 months because of the situation with Stefanie. But not once did Jared communicate to you guys that we had been searched, that our cars had been searched, that we've been questioned, that we've been polygraphed, that the Game Warden Service had searched our property, FBI had searched our property. All three of those three-letter agencies also searched our property with their own drones. I can't remember which one, but at one point in time, there were so many drones and so many helicopters in the air that they had to start grounding drones so that the drones didn't get ate by the helicopters. But she just needs to find her way home, one way or another. And do I honestly hope it don't get dangerous? Yeah, I hope people leave us alone. I hope people realize that I'm a grieving father and that I don't grieve like other people. And when you attack the name of my daughter and you attack the name of my family, and we're already going through something as detrimental as we're going through, and we put our trust in somebody that's supposed to help us and have our best interest in our, and they don't. They did the searches. As long as the searches were going on, I think that was about the only time they gave it. And that was only because they put on a good show. So that everybody seen they were doing searches, so it looked like they were doing their job. But as soon as the cameras were down and the drones were down and everything, it was back to coffee and hell. But I'm gonna get off here, probably take a nap, and then upload this video. But it's been nice talking to you guys. What you guys want to do with the videos I uploaded, that's fine. I don't expect to get this channel monetized. That was not my goal. This channel was not about reviews. This channel was about, these short videos were about making a record of how the situation got like it is now before it gets to the next step. Jared had every opportunity to stop it, and he didn't. Because the only simple fact that matters that he did not clarify, she disappeared within an hour and a half. No trace, a boot print. That's it. So, do what you want with them. Like I said, I'm probably, unless I have a real good reason to make another video, because Nancy Grace, Located Law, all you guys have done proven. I can't even trust my own next door neighbors to have my best interest. I mean, we've been dealing with this for 4 years. And this is what it's led to. So have a good day. Like I said, this is probably the last video.